So the little guy in the middle, he's probably about 9 foot, and he's a youngster. He's probably maybe like 10 to 15 years old, where the big guys, we don't know for sure how old they are. They're maybe 50 or 60 years old. Alligators normally live around 45 or 50 years in the natural environment, in their natural habitat. They seem to maybe double their lifespan in managed care. In fact, there's one of those Hio that's over 90 years old. And we, like I said, our guys are probably 50 or 60 years old. They were brought here in the late 70s, mid-70s, late 70s as nuisance alligators, and they're from around the Tampa Bay area. And a nuisance alligator really is an alligator's lost its natural fear of humans. In a while, if an alligator you never really get this close to them. They should head the other way. Even a big guy like that, we're quite tall and make a lot of noise. They're going to move away from us, and that's what you want them to do, because they're very powerful animals. Like that jaw, the bite pressure is like about 2,000 to 3,000 pounds per square inch. One of the hardest strongest bites in the animal kingdom. The 80 teeth in their mouth. So you want them to go away. You don't want to have them come towards you. Nuisance alligator is one that'll start to come to you. And one of the reasons that happens is we feed them. And that's why it's against the law to feed alligators. If you remember anything today, please do not feed alligators. There's almost 2 million alligators in Florida alone, and they're doing quite fine without our help. I mentioned how alligators are cold-blooded and they don't like to waste their energy because they have control on their body temperature. But once you start to feed them, they kind of look for that easy meal. And if you give them food, if you do it intentionally or unintentionally, you could be at a picnic throwing hot dogs or chicken to them, and after a couple times, it's like the stray dog at your back door. It's going to show up looking for the food. Remember what I said about that bite pressure and all those teeth? You don't want them coming towards you. And you can do it inadvertently also. You can be cleaning your fish, like on a boat dock, you're throwing the remains in the water. That's going to attract alligators too. So you don't want the alligators to think of somebody on 2 legs as a vending machine. So once they start to come looking for the food, it might not be you. Maybe somebody else is feeding them, but you don't know that. Alligators can hide in the water. This water is only about probably 3 foot deep. And I swear, when that big guy's laying on the bottom, even with this clear pool, you can barely see them. They're ambush predators, and they can use that big tail to shoot out of the water very quickly. And you don't want to be between the jaws of them. So if somebody else is feeding them, they see somebody on 2 legs, you could be there with your child, you could be with your pet, you could be working down by the water's edge, and they can startle you and come up, and they might grab your hand, the food in the hand or the hand itself. And that's what you don't want. And most attacks, which are very rare, alligators don't look at this as natural food, but there has been some, and there's been some fatalities throughout the years. It generally can be traced back to an alligator that's been fed. So please don't feed them, and I mentioned there is a fine, heavy fine or jail time for feeding them. Now for the alligator, what do you think happens to him? All facilities are full, no place for them to go. They can't breathe. Where are they going to go in Florida without running into people? They're going to destroy him. They're going to, if he's over 4 foot long, the state will actually hire a trapper to come out and remove the alligator, and they destroy him. So it's really bad for them. So this is one thing to remember today. Now, what do you think they naturally eat in the wild? Turtles? What else? Fish? Yeah, 80–90% of their diet is going to be fish and turtles. And I wouldn't worry about the guys behind us here because they do very well. They're pretty much not even afraid of the alligators in here because these alligators have been fed by us. And they look at us as we're going to give them food. And so the alligators and fish are pretty safe. Now anything else naturally for them is going to be any kind of birds, water birds, wading birds, small mammals. They even eat things as small as crayfish. They may eat crustacean. They're going to be in all kinds of things. They're going to eat snakes. Large alligators, especially probably during the drought season, will eat. Large alligators eat small alligators. So they like bite-sized meals. They don't eat as much as you think they do. A lot of people guess that they make 20, 30 pounds of food at a time. But he mentioned we don't feed them in the wintertime for 4 months. And they only eat once a week. We feed them once a week in the spring and fall, maybe 5 to 7 pounds a week. In the summer, when they're very active, we feed them twice a week, Tuesdays, Saturdays. If you're a pass holder, 10 o'clock, you get the perfect spot. Dinner table's right behind us in the water, right behind me in the water. That's what we feed them. They might only eat 5 to 15 pounds, 10 to 15 pounds of meat a week even during the summer months. So they don't eat as much as you think. And so a turtle in the wild, a couple turtles a week, it's probably keep them quite satisfied. Here, we feed them fresh chicken, usually going to be halves. You get broiler chickens you'd buy in the grocery store, high quality, mullet, local fish, sometimes rainbow trout or tilapia. Or the third thing, we make a sausage for them in our nutrition center. Red meats, they actually make a commercial crocodilian pellet. We grind it all up, put it in sausage casing, and we'll feed them that. We kind of rotate those items to them throughout the feeding time of the year. Now, I mentioned this time of year, don't feed them. Spring comes around, gloves in the air for the American alligator about April, and that's when they do all their displaying. That's when you ever seen the males when they bellow? You ever heard of alligator growl or bellow? Besides University in Florida, alligators do bellow, and they're very loud. They actually will get in the water, throw their head and tail out of the water. They force air through their throat, and they actually vibrate. And the water just shoots them off like steam. And if they do that bellowing, you can hear it 200-300 yards away. And males do that to set up their territory. Large males will try to get the best spot for the best territory because the female will choose the male that's got the best, what we call real estate, and that's the place for her to lay her eggs. If he's got the best place for her to lay her eggs, she'll choose that male. So male that's got a nice spot along a river or a pond, any freshwater area, this place not going to flood, it's high enough, the water's not going to mess with her eggs, and that's the male she'll choose. And female alligators do lay eggs. Incubation's around 70 days, and she will protect her nest that whole 70 days. And anything gets close to it, that's about the only other time an alligator's been fed, a nuisance alligator will approach you, a nesting female, she will protect her nest. And she will protect her babies once they hatch out. When they hatch, they're around 7 to 10 inches in length. They're very vulnerable. They're a little bit different coloration. They're gray, but they have bands on them, yellow and orange bands. But they're everything that they eat when they get large will eat them. So mama alligator will watch her babies, and they actually make a distress call, kind of a little high chirp, and that will get her attention, and she will come over and protect them. So you don't want to be anywhere near a net female that's nesting, or you see a lot of little baby alligators smaller than 2 feet, because you might watch them up to 2 years of age, and they do grow about a foot a year their first 6 years of their life. So 2 foot, mom could be still around. That's to back away, because they make that little call, she's going to come out of the water, or she might be on land, so it's who will protect them. So that's another thing to remember about them. Now, one more thing I want to say about the American alligator. The population is very strong. I mentioned we have almost 1.5 million, 2 million in Florida. Louisiana has more than we do. They were endangered in the 60s. They were protected. They got a success story. A lot of times you hear about animals that don't recover from becoming endangered. Well, American alligator has. They were protected by the government from overhunting, and their numbers are very, very strong. The thing is, they are still protected, and there is a reason. Anybody know why they're still protected?
Skin.
How many South Floridians we got? You got any? How about the American crocodile? You know we have crocodiles in Florida. A lot of people don't realize that. We have the American crocodile more to the southern part of the state. Mentioned the alligator can live in the cold up in the Carolinas. Crocodiles, Tampa Bay is probably about as far north as they probably can take the cold. They can't get through the winters like the American alligator. But to protect the American crocodile, they still protect the American alligator. It's around 2,000 crocodiles. The numbers are low, like 3 times they were maybe 7, 8 years ago. But they're on the rebound, and more of them are showing up. All right, I'm sure you got questions. I've been talking a while. If you have any questions, just shout them out. Down right here.
How fast do they run?
How fast can they run? A wild alligator, maybe 10 to 12 miles an hour. They can move. I would say they'd run the fastest if they were in the water, because you can't outswim an alligator. He puts his legs back and uses that powerful tail, and he just shoots across the water. So if he's laying on the water and he comes up out of the water and he's got his legs moving, he could probably go really fast for a short distance. There has been reports of them going faster, but these guys, I can't imagine them that can do that quick. But you know, they can be steady for a short distance. So the best thing to do if you're ever chased by an alligator, I know you heard zigzag.
Zigzag.
Well, what do you think? You mentioned fish and turtles, how they swim in the water. Zigzag. So an alligator is very good at catching things going zigzag. And you know where their eyes are on the side of their head, and most of their teeth are on their side of their head. And they actually, wouldn't believe it, they have a blind spot straight on the tip of their nose. Because of their eyes shooting off to the side, they don't see well straight ahead. So if you run away, just move away as fast as you can and get behind something. Behind any brush, deadfall, trees. Alligator's going to tire quickly and he'll leave you alone. But you always need to be careful along the water's edge. Any 2 or 3 foot from the edge, it can come out of the water quick. It could be a nuisance alligator, or it could be an alligator. You know, you're making noise, he might think it's an easy meal. And he doesn't realize it's little more than he wanted to get into, but you don't want to take that chance. So out hiking, you always bring a stick with you. If you're out canoeing, you always keep an eye on them, move away from them. Probably the only time they bother you in a canoe or kayak is if you were dangling fish over the side, or if it was during that time of year when the males are out displaying. Because they do get a little territorial. When they see a kayak in the water, they might think it's a large alligator. So during the springtime, that's probably kind of
How many babies at a time?
How many babies do they usually have? Now, we have all males in here now, so we don't, in the past we have had females. A normal nest, I've seen 25 to maybe 45, but it can be as many as 60, it can be as few as one.
Wow.
Now, the older the females, we've had some older females that we did replace. We went all males this year. We took our 2 females out, but they were past their prime. They were only laying 1 or 2 eggs a year. But a normal nest, 25 to 45.